16-year-old Jake Martinez's life changes in an instant when he spots two suspicious men following Anthony Edwards through Riverfront Mall. Jake had a choice: follow the rules and keep his much-needed job at Timberlake Sports Memorabilia, or help a star athlete in danger. He chose to help and lost everything, or so he thought. Within 24 hours of being fired, he would find himself at the center of a criminal conspiracy, a viral social media sensation, and a secret FBI and NBA security investigation. Jake Martinez's alarm buzzed at exactly 5:30 a.m., just like it did every morning. He quickly shut it off before it could wake his mom in the next room. She needed all the rest she could get these days. The early morning darkness filled their small two-bedroom apartment as Jake quietly got ready for work. He could hear the familiar sounds of Minneapolis waking up outside, garbage trucks clattering by, buses whooshing down the street, and the first birds beginning to chirp. "Another day, another dollar," he whispered, pulling on his uniform. Jake's apartment was on the third floor of an aging building near the University District. The peeling paint and squeaky staircase hid small comforts: a scratched wooden table where he and his mom shared late-night homework sessions and morning breakfast, and mismatched chairs that squeaked whenever someone shifted weight. The kitchen window faced a narrow alley where squirrels darted between garbage bins, and through it he could see the hospital across the street where his mom worked. She was always off on rotating shifts as a cleaning supervisor, which meant late nights and exhaustion. But she still managed to leave a note for him each morning. Today's read: "Mijo, there's a bagel and some fruit in the fridge. Don't forget your lunch. Love you, mama." He smiled as he grabbed the blueberry bagel she'd toasted and sliced for him. Even though she worked double shifts to cover medical expenses, she always made sure he ate well. He wrapped the bagel in a paper towel and grabbed his backpack. The turkey sandwich, chips, and apple he'd packed last night were already inside. "Thanks, Mama," he whispered, and slipped out into the hallway. The number 23 bus arrived at 6:10 a.m. sharp. Jake climbed aboard and nodded to Mr. Washington, the driver who'd been taking him to work for the past year. "Morning, Mr. Washington," Jake said, taking a seat near the back. "Morning, Jake. Studying for finals?" the driver asked, glancing at Jake's open backpack. Jake laughed. "Not this early, sir. Just algebra and some stats for my science class." He pulled out his notebook and scribbled a few algebraic expressions while watching the sunrise reflect off the Mississippi River. He practiced his handwriting when he paused. If x equals 5, then y equals 3x plus 7. He missed basketball practice that evening. Again. But he knew why. His mom's medical bills had piled up, and working extra shifts was the only way to help. He glanced at a group of teenagers in Timberwolves jerseys heading to an early workout. A pang of regret hit him. He dreamed of playing for his high school team, or maybe someday wearing that iconic Timberwolves uniform. Still, he reminded himself, family came first. On the bus, Jake found himself lost in thought between scribbling algebra and looking out the window. A group of college students chattered about playing pickup games at a nearby court, their laughter echoing. One guy spotted Jake's Timberwolves beanie and said, "Yo, that's a sick beanie. You a fan of the T-Wolves?" Jake smiled, nodding. "Big fan." "You going to the game next week?" they asked. He shook his head. "Wish I could, but gotta work." The student offered a sports drink, which Jake accepted gratefully, then returned to his notes. By 6:30, Jake was at the mall's employee entrance. The glass cathedral of Riverfront Mall rose before him in the morning light, gleaming like an ice palace. As he finished the last bite of his bagel, he smoothed his uniform and adjusted his name tag. "Time to look the part," he murmured. Timberlake Sports Memorabilia was tucked between a high-end shoe store and a gourmet coffee shop. Inside, display cases showcased signed jerseys, game-worn sneakers, and autographed basketballs. The store had a hushed feel, with spotlighted memorabilia and velvet ropes guiding customers. Jake rang the doorbell, the lights flicked on. Mr. Berkeley, the store's owner, was already there. Always dressed in a tailored suit, he exuded confidence. "Right on time, Jake. I need you to handle our new inventory today," Berkeley said, tapping his tablet. "We just received signed Anthony Edwards rookie jerseys. Make sure you verify the hologram IDs and log everything correctly." "Yes, sir," Jake replied eagerly. He had memorized the serial numbers of the autographed items. Jersey numbered AE23001 through AE23010. He unpacked large cardboard boxes one by one, lifting each carefully to avoid creasing or damage. He checked the certificates of authenticity that accompanied each jersey and scanned the barcodes, verifying the numbers in the store's secure system. As he worked, his thoughts drifted to how special these jerseys were. Anthony Edwards had taken the Timberwolves deep into the playoffs just last spring. Jake could picture the roar of the crowd when Anthony hit that buzzer beater in Game 7. The jerseys could fetch up to $2,000 each. Dad always said to follow your passion, Jake thought, and mine's basketball. He traced the name Edwards stitched across the back of one jersey. It felt almost sacred. As Jake cataloged each piece, he carefully cleaned fingerprints off the glass display cases, his cotton gloves sliding smoothly as he arranged jerseys, basketballs, and trading cards. He inspected the stitching on a limited edition 2022 All-Star jersey, noting tiny variations that signaled authenticity. He cross-checked serial numbers with a digital ledger, scrolling through spreadsheets he'd helped set up last month. It felt like detective work. Each hologram sticker and certificate had to match perfectly. By 11 a.m., he had cataloged 20 boxes of memorabilia, including autographed basketballs from LeBron James, Kobe Bryant tribute items, and a rare Michael Jordan All-Star jersey. He'd learned so much about basketball history that he felt ready to give tours of the store's prize collection. His fingers tapped keys as he entered player stats and jersey condition notes. No discoloration, no tears, good stitching. During his lunch break, he ate a turkey sandwich and chips in the food court. He watched shoppers stream by, toddlers clutching Mickey Mouse backpacks, teenagers snapping selfies beside fountains, investors in business suits talking on expensive phones. He thought about how the mall was a world apart from his neighborhood, where he and his mom lived in a modest apartment above a bakery. He sighed as his phone buzzed again, a text from his mom. "Don't forget to pick up my prescription after work. Love you." He checked his wallet. Not enough money yet. The pharmacy would close soon. Back at the store, Mr. Berkeley was on the phone with a collector. Jake stocked display cases with glowing sneakers and framed jerseys. Through the glass front, he saw a familiar figure walk by. It looked like Anthony Edwards. Only, why was he alone? There were no crowds, no official security detail. Something felt off. Anthony wore a Timberwolves warm-up suit, his hood pulled low. He glanced over at the store as if recognizing it, then kept walking. Jake's heart fluttered. Jake's hands began to sweat. Should he do something? He remembered the store policy. Never leave your post without coverage. He bit his lip. The two men behind Anthony were too close for comfort. One had a tattoo peeking from under his sleeve, and the other kept his right hand in his pocket as if hiding something dangerous. Finally, Jake made up his mind. He grabbed his store-issued badge, slipped out of Timberlake Sports memorabilia, and called after him. "Hey, Anthony!" Anthony spun around, surprised. "I know this place looks confusing, but I work here. Your fan event got moved to the practice facility. Follow me." Anthony nodded, relief flooding his face. "Thank you," he whispered. They walked together toward the back of the store where the service corridor door stood. Jake flashed his badge at the reader. It beeped and unlocked. Inside, the hallway smelled of concrete and metal. Buzzing fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows. "This way," Jake whispered, guiding Anthony down the dim corridor. Jake's chest heaved as he rehearsed calm instructions. "Take 2 steps behind me. Don't look back." He risked a glance over his shoulder. The pursuers fanned out, scanning the hallway. Jake and Anthony ran past storage rooms labeled seasonal display, past maintenance closets where mops leaned against the wall, past crates of unsorted basketballs. They crossed the stairwell and descended 2 floors, each step echoing under their pounding feet. Anthony struggled to keep up in his basketball sneakers, but he pressed on. At the bottom, they reached another corridor. The door to the security office was open. Jake ran in and yelled, "Help! 2 men are following Anthony Edwards through the mall." In seconds, guards in dark uniforms poured out. Behind them, the pursuers skidded to a halt and ran back up the stairwell. One guard, broad-shouldered and stern, followed Anthony inside. "You all right?" he asked. "I'm fine," Anthony replied, voice shaking. He pointed at Jake. "This kid helped me." A man in a dark suit stepped forward, flashing credentials. "Anthony, I'm Agent Carlos Vega with NBA Security, and I'm Agent Linda Chen from the FBI Sports Crimes Unit. We have questions." Jake's stomach sank. "I just saw those men following him. I work at Timberlake Sports Memorabilia," he rushed to explain. "I knew something was wrong," and Agent Chen nodded. "We'll verify your story. Please come with us." Jake's legs felt like rubber. "I need to tell my boss," he stammered. "He doesn't know I left." Agent Vega spoke into his radio. "Get a security officer to inform Mr. Berkeley." Then he turned back to Jake. "Tell us everything you saw. Every detail matters." Jake sat in a cramped interrogation room. The walls were painted a dull gray, and a single LED light buzzed overhead. Anthony sat nearby, arms crossed, looking both grateful and tense. Each time the agents asked a question, Jake's mind replayed the chase. The quick shuffle of Anthony's feet, the smell of fresh pavement, the distant echo of alarms. He wondered if he'd made mistakes. Did he miss a clue? Could the pursuers track them anyway? But he had done the right thing, and he told that truth again and again. After what felt like hours, they let Jake go. A guard escorted him back to the mall. It was now late afternoon, and most stores were closing. He walked up to Timberlake Sports Memorabilia's entrance, heart pounding. Mr. Berkeley stood in the shadowed doorway, arms crossed and face unreadable. "Jake," he said, voice tight, "we need to talk." Jake followed his boss into the dimly lit back office. "You left your post for over 40 minutes, Berkeley said without preamble. "We have over $200,000 worth of inventory here. Company policy is clear. No employee leaves their station without coverage. I'm sorry, but we have to terminate your employment effective immediately." "No, sir," Jake protested. "I saw Anthony Edwards in danger. If I hadn't acted, they could have hurt him, or worse. Millions of dollars in stolen memorabilia could have left the store." Berkeley shook his head. "If anything had happened to our inventory, I'd lose everything. I have no choice." He slid a termination notice across the desk. "Sign here." Jake's vision blurred as he signed. "Your final paycheck arrives in 2 weeks. I'll provide a reference for retail work, but nothing involving security." Jake nodded numbly and left. Holding those items felt like clutching his identity. He retrieved his hoodie, jacket, and the few mementos he'd kept behind the counter. A small framed photo of his mom and him at a summer baseball game, a Timberwolves cap signed by a coach, and a tiny basketball keychain from a 5th grade tournament. Slipping on his jacket, he walked out into the mall, feeling as if someone had ripped the ground from under him. The walk home felt endless. He missed the bus and trudged through the empty mall parking lot under dim streetlights. Once home, he found his mom at the kitchen table, tears in her eyes. "Mijo, we can't afford that MRI," she said, pushing a hospital statement toward him. "The insurance covered only half." Jake's chest tightened. "I'll find another job," he whispered. But he had no idea how. Her eyes brimmed with both pride and guilt. He didn't want her to worry more. Just then his phone buzzed. A blocked number called. He answered. A deep voice said, "Is this Jake Martinez?" Then another authoritative voice. "This is James Cooper, head of NBA Security. We need to talk about today at the mall." Jake's heart raced. "Yes, sir." He closed and locked their apartment door. "Mama, can the agents come in?" he asked, voice shaking. 3 people appeared, Agent Vega, Agent Chen, and Agent Rodriguez. They showed badges. "Mrs. Martinez, may we speak with your son privately?" Agent Chen asked. His mom shook her head. "Anything you need to know, say it in front of me." They all sat in the cramped living room. Agent Vega opened a laptop. "Jake, we're reviewing surveillance footage. Confirm what you saw." They showed multiple angles. Jake diving to grab Anthony's arm, guiding him through the corridor, and the pursuers closing in. Jake's mom gasped, clutching his hand. "Why are you telling us this?" she demanded. Agent Chen explained, "They know who you are now. The ringleader, Mr. Berkeley, coordinated bigger crimes, kidnapping and black market sales of forged memorabilia. We intercepted their communications. We need to protect you and your mom. NBA Security and the FBI will coordinate your safety, But we also need your help. Only you saw how they moved, what objects they carried, details that can identify other members of the ring. Jake spent the next hour reviewing photos of suspects, SUVs, and storage units. He recognized 3 men from that day's pursuit. Agent Rodriguez wrote down each detail. The second suspect wore Timberwolves slides under his hoodie, rare in winter. The taller man had a gold chain with a basketball pendant. He described the hallway vents, the rusted maintenance elevator door, even the way the concrete floor squeaked when they ran. "You're making a huge difference," Agent Rodriguez said. And then, at midnight, after the agents left, Jake lay awake, his mind racing. He stared at their bare ceiling, thinking about what he'd lost: his job, the money he'd hoped to save, and the certainty of tomorrow. He stared at their bare ceiling, thinking about what he'd lost: his job, the money he'd hoped to save, and the certainty of tomorrow. A text appeared on his old phone. "You should have stayed away." Hard hammering, he took a screenshot and sent it to Agent Rodriguez. A minute later, his phone rang. "We traced that threat to an abandoned warehouse in South St. Paul," Agent Rodriguez said. "FBI and NBA security will raid it tonight. Stay inside. We'll handle everything." At 2 a.m., thick silence blanketed the neighborhood. Then, like a thunderclap, police sirens wailed, and bright spotlights pierced the sky. Jake and his mom peered through the blinds as armored vehicles rolled down Cedar Street. SWAT teams in full gear fanned out. A helicopter hovered above, its spotlights swinging across rooftops. Jake's chest tightened as he saw federal agents in black uniforms storming the warehouse. Windows shattered, guns drawn. The team leader pressed his shoulder against a heavy steel door and kicked it open. Commands boomed, "Hands high! FBI! Get on the ground! Don't move!" Inside, the building was a cavern of rows upon rows of storage shelves. Agents swarmed through aisles, slamming suspects against metal racks. One man, bearded and wide-eyed, tried to flee but was tackled by a U.S. Marshal. Another screamed in a foreign language as agents cuffed him. Boxes labeled Edwards Authentics sat next to counterfeit goods from other athletes. Computers hummed, ledgers lay open, detailing ransom demands tied to fake sports auctions. Within minutes, 80 arrests were made, including Mr. Berkeley and his top lieutenants. The entire network lay in jail cells. Jake's phone rang at dawn. It was Anthony Edwards. "Jake, you're safe?" Anthony asked. "I'm fine," Jake replied, voice hoarse. "I can't believe I almost lost you." Anthony's voice cracked. "I owe you everything. Nobody expected this ring to be so extensive." Within hours, the story exploded online. Hashtags like #JakeTheHero and #HoopsJustice trended worldwide. Reporters camped outside their apartment. Local sports shows replayed highlights of Jake's interview with agents. Basketball forums buzzed with admiration. The Timberwolves organization issued a statement. "Jake Martinez saved one of our own. We're forever grateful." At 9 a.m., the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, Jake saw a group of NBA officials. Timberwolves general manager Samantha Brooks, representatives from NBA Cares, and several team coaches. They introduced themselves warmly. "Jake, on behalf of the entire NBA community, we want to offer you and your mom immediate assistance. Your mom's medical bills are fully covered under NBA Cares, and we've arranged a full scholarship for you to attend the University of Minnesota or any college of your choice, with housing and a new laptop. We also have a furnished apartment ready for you." Jake's mom wept as Samantha Brooks handed her the first check, covering all outstanding medical expenses. "Your son's bravery inspired us," she said. "Consider us family." Later that afternoon, they were driven to a spacious, furnished apartment near campus. It had a living room with big windows overlooking downtown Minneapolis and a modest kitchen stocked with groceries. "This is yours now," Agent Vega said, "for as long as you need it." Jake and his mom walked inside, stunned, barely believing their luck. That evening, Agent Linda Chen knocked on the door, and behind her stood a woman in a barista apron holding a half-drunk latte. She removed her disguise, revealing an FBI badge. "I'm Special Agent Sophie Miller," she said. "I've been undercover at Riverfront Mall's Cafe Hoops for over 3 years, investigating Berkeley's ring. I watched you every day, Jake, how you treated customers, your respect for each person who walked in. That's why I knew you'd do the right thing when it counted. Jake's jaw dropped. Sophie smiled. Your small act of kindness at the coffee shop, holding the door for an elderly woman struggling with her groceries, told me you were special. That's when I decided to help coordinate with NBA security so we could catch Berkeley red-handed. Jake felt a lump in his throat. Thank you, he whispered. In the following weeks, Jake enrolled at the University of Minnesota, majoring in criminal justice. He continued to train at the NBA practice facility, learning about security protocols, fraud prevention, and sports law. Coaches invited him to team practices. He even got a few one-on-one sessions with Anthony Edwards, who had become a close friend. The Timberwolves organization offered him a part-time paid internship helping the security team vet memorabilia and assist in community outreach. His mom began her treatment at a top Minneapolis hospital, fully covered by NBA Cares. Her cough faded, her strength returned, and she started taking evening classes in healthcare administration, inspired by the kindness she'd seen. One evening, as Jake sat on his dorm room bed overlooking the city lights, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Agent Miller. I never stopped watching. You prove every day that heroes can be found in the most unexpected places. The FBI would be honored to have you someday. Jake smiled as he looked at a shelf on his desk where two framed items stood. His old Timberlake sports name tag and a Timberwolves practice jersey signed by Anthony Edwards. On his nightstand lay an acceptance letter from his college, a basketball signed by his teammates, and a small plaque from NBA Cares that read, "In honor of Jake Martinez, 2025 Hero of the Year." Weeks later, on a crisp November afternoon, Jake stood on a small stage in the college gymnasium, spotlights illuminating his face, accepting the Young Courage Award from the city mayor. Reporters recorded his speech as he looked out at a sea of faces, his mom, college professors, and teammates who cheered his name. The applause was thunderous. All I did was trust my instincts and help someone in need, Jake said into the microphone. If you see someone in trouble, don't hesitate. Even small acts can change lives. He tightened his shoelaces and jogged off the court, ready for whatever challenge came next. Jake thought about how small decisions ripple outward. Helping a stranger, even at great moments, could topple an empire. He had lost his job, faced true danger, and uncovered a criminal conspiracy. And in return, he found friendship, security, and a future brimming with possibilities. Sometimes the most ordinary days turn out to be the most extraordinary of all.